Shameless plug incoming. Today's episode is brought to you by the book Everyone is a Sinner But Me, available now at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Pre-recorded from Volpe Studios, it's the MCS1 show featuring Caleb Hannah and now your host, MCS1.
Welcome everyone to another edition of the MCS1 show. I'm MCS1, once again joined by dear compadre via satellite, Caleb Hennon. Hi, Caleb.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, man?
Just looking down on this big dumbass blue world, you know.
New year, new world, but you don't care.
Yeah, I don't really understand time up here. It's just kind of one of those things, you know, just I don't get it.
I hear that. Man.
You know, because years pass differently in space, guys.
Of course. And up in the final frontier.
Yes. Space.
Yeah, Star Trek. Yeah, I'm not a Star Trek fan. I see the new reboot movies. Those are pretty good.
I see. I gotta be honest. I didn't really watch the show, so I decided to not watch the movies, and I don't really know if I'm missing out, but my brain feels like it's not.
Probably not. They're okay. I enjoy them.
Okay. I do like Chris Pine as an actor.
Yeah, Chris Pine's awesome, dude. Chris Pine's so cool.
Yeah.
I'd party with Chris Pine. Have you seen Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I have.
Pretty cool movie.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, to be perfectly frank, it was basically just Captain America: The First Avenger, but with a woman. But I mean,
yeah,
it was a good movie though. It was a great movie though. Like I legitimately enjoyed it. Good movie. I felt like, you know, Gal Gadot or Gadot, however the freak you say her name, but anyway, she did a fantastic job.
Great actress. Actress.
I think that she does things very well, and the fact that she was in the special forces for Israel is kind of badass.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You know what I mean? And then like. No, but I legitimately liked Wonder Woman a lot. Probably, to be perfectly honest, probably the best DC movie I've seen in a while.
Oh, fair assessment. I won't get into. I don't talk comic book movies with anyone, but especially Caleb.
Wow.
You shut up, Caleb. You know this.
I know. I'm just being me.
Yeah, being you, you prick. So, anyway, everyone, before we get into the show, Caleb and we've been doing some like really cool shit, kind of offline while we haven't been recording the show. We're not ready to unveil it just yet.
Right.
But it's coming up. It's going to be coming up when we know, but we're not ready to reveal it. But when we do, it's going to be awesome. But we want you guys to be like kind of involved in this. And so we got this little mailing list that we've created on our website, the MCS1show.com. We want you to sign up. If you sign up on there, when we finally drop the bombshell on this awesome thing that we're doing, we want you to be able to be a part of it and have you kind of get the hookup as much as we can.
Right.
So go, the MCS1show.com, sign up for that mailing list. We're going to spam your inbox with crap because let's be real, everyone hates that, and I even hate that.
Sure.
We're only going to give you like really good updates and actual good stuff that goes down. So speaking of good stuff that goes down, we got something good going down today.
Yes.
This show, Caleb, how pumped are you for this episode?
On a scale of 1 to outrageously excited, I would say super pumped.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same camp right now.
I don't really know how the number system works on that. I guess I should put numbers on it, but like a solid 12.
Yeah, this one is so good. So when we did our very first VidAngel show, like back in last year sometime, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, we were making fun of those filtering motherfuckers. He read something about their save filtering petition.
Right.
Which was just like this terrible creed of,
cancer.
Wow. That they wanted to have to show that, filtering is if filtering like left, the world was gonna die type of thing. They just made
Yeah,
it.
this big like Armageddon show about it, and I was
Oh
like,
my
all
gosh!
right, guys, calm down.
And already an even more filtered version of Armageddon. But yeah,
Gross.
so this was at like the savingfiltering.nationbuilder.com for their little online petition that doesn't do anything like most online petitions.
Right.
Um, but it said this one line, and this stood out to us so much. It was if it's taken away, its outcome will directly affect your rights as a parent. And then Caleb was like, "Is that a like parental rights? Is that a thing now? Are we gonna do a show on that?" And I replied, "Yes, yes, we are." And Caleb was to that extent. And yeah, and so here we are. Today we're going to be talking about parental rights as a result of VidAngel putting up this petition to stop the Hollywood fat cats from taking away their filtered movies.
Look at those fat cats over there with their unfiltered movies.
Yeah. Look at this fat cat over here trying to take away my filtered movie. I mean, seriously, it's so those Hollywood fat cats.
Oh boy.
But apparently, like this parental rights thing, it's not just a VidAngel thing. And that's what really kind of floored me when I found that out.
Sure, as it should.
As it should. There's a group out there that are advocating for parental rights. Like
because we don't have them now.
I guess. They don't exactly have money or enough power for their own lobbyist in Washington.
Yeah.
But they do have their own website, and yeah, it's kind of.
It is cringy.
It is cringy. It's so cringeworthy. Like during Caleb and I, like it was like what second season of the MCS1 show.
Yeah.
We were doing all sorts of weird shit back then.
Oh yeah.
Not that we aren't now. We're talking
the good
about
old days.
The good old days. I mean, we're talking about parental rights right now, but we did a show on the Ku Klux Klan's website.
Remember? Oh man, that's throwback. That is a serious throwback right there.
Such throwback. You remember that, Caleb?
Oh, I remember.
Man, and like you would go through that, and it was like looking at something out of the 90s. Like, I swear, when that page was loading up, I could hear an AOL dial tone.
Yeah, it was just like
dial-up modem. You've got mail. Like, that's what it was for that, and that was
it was gross.
Yeah, and it was and plus we were just doing something to make fun of the Klan.
Sure. I mean, who doesn't want to make fun of them?
Exactly, and the best part is it's like no one's going to go to their website, so this is the perfect chance for a show. And the way that I stumbled on that website was I had to do a paper about a film called Birth of the Nation, which was a big KKK like ingrained film is probably the best way to say propaganda type film or whatever. And that film actually gave rise to the KKK. Like it was about to die, and then that thing sparked it back up. So thank you, D.W. Griffith and the Birth of the Nation. But yeah, one of the many masterful pieces of art I had to watch for film class at that wonderful university that I went to that I prefer not to discuss. But this. But
for very obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons, but this KKK website, its cringiness is right up there with parentalrights.org.
Yeah, dude. Bad.
Now, Caleb, you went and checked this sucker out, right?
Yep.
So
I dove pretty deep into it. I'm going to be totally honest with you.
Really?
To the point where I started going into the whole like state by state, the rights. I didn't get to all 50, so, forgive me. I only did like 28.
You started with Utah and then worked your way to the lesser states?
No, I didn't go to Utah. I didn't know Utah's parental rights laws. I already know we have full disclosure to do whatever we want. The reason, there's a good reason for it, okay? It's not a weird thing, but...
Because it's Utah?
No. What it really came down to is... there was an article that I read like forever ago that was on like freedoms within certain states. And so I went through all 50. It was just in this article, and like the thing that was highlighted in Utah was they have the most parental rights. Like parents get to decide everything. That was like because the article was the number one thing that's most free about your state, and that was
cool.
So yeah, it was a pretty cool thing. It's basically saying like this is the least regulated thing in your state, and parental rights was actually Utah's thing.
And then right up next to it was the business laws for multi-level marketers.
No. Actually, the state that actually has the most business friendly regulations, and this is going to be no surprise really to most people, Alaska.
Oh yeah, well, that does make sense,
right? I mean, to the point. I mean, Alaska. There's a lot of good things they do. There's a lot of whatever, but like for businesses, if you're starting a business, it's the cheapest to start it in Alaska. It's the easiest to maintain in Alaska. They because living is so cheap, you can actually survive on minimum wage in Alaska, which is crazy.
Wow.
But it's because nobody wants to freaking live in Alaska.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to get done with all. The punchline could be, but it's Alaska.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's the thing. Like Alaska is the state that gives you $10,000 for moving in.
Yeah, but
because they have a huge surplus because nobody fucking lives there. Nobody thinks about it. Like, who wakes up in the morning? You know where I want to live long term? Alaska.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's nothing against Alaska. Alaska's gorgeous. Like, I've seen a ton of like photos and stuff. And I mean, the summer solstice, that's dope. I mean, 24 straight hours of sun, that's awesome. I'm just saying, like, as a happenstance, that is something to participate in. As something that happens, I think that's interesting. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm getting at.
All
but
right.
it's like, yeah. I mean, who the hell wants to live in Alaska?
Exactly.
But anyway, so I went through a lot of different states, and I it was pretty interesting, because there were some surprises, and there were some where it's like, well, duh,
Yeah.
So for instance, Maryland was actually the first state that I checked out because that's where my mission there, and I was just, it's like basically I consider it my second home,
Yeah.
And so I checked out Maryland. Maryland actually has very strict rules for parents, in a lot of things, and basically Maryland is on that always believe the victim thing for kids. So like if a kid goes in and is like, yeah, my dad's abusing me, they don't even investigate; they just take him away.
Well, can't beat your kids.
Yeah, well, that's and to be perfectly honest, it's like, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm not advocating for being able to beat your kids. Obviously, I think that's a horrible thing to do.
I don't think anyone advocates for anyone to beat their kids,
except for child beaters.
Yeah, well,
like other than those people, it's like the same people that are like, it's like the same thing. Like, well, who advocates for rape? Rapists. They're the only ones that are like who else is standing up going, I think rape is great. We should have it everywhere. Nobody's doing that except for rapists, right? And it's the same thing with this. Like nobody advocates to beat their kids, obviously. Yeah. And, it's just one of those things. But it's like, but if you were like mad at your parents one day, you could just be like, yeah, he beat me, and then social services would come in, take you away, and put you in a home. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Another big surprise: New York actually has very lax parental control, like rights, like as in like parents can do.
Yeah, I watched a movie about a kid who got dropped off. Like he basically was at an airport, and he just spent like his whole Christmas in the Trump Motel.
Right.
And
the Plaza Hotel.
Yeah,
that
one. And he was he basically set up all these weird traps and beat up these two burglars.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That he pissed off back in Milwaukee or Chicago or whatever. Yeah. So I've seen that. So I'm not surprised. Yeah, that kid just kind of was off on his own doing whatever he wanted, maxing out his dad's credit card. So I'm not too surprised.
Right. And then a not so surprising one, and we're gonna touch on this probably a little bit later in the show. Minnesota has very strict parental rights law.
Oh my gosh, Minnesota! This was like, we'll get into this later. Later.
And for me, the reason I checked out Minnesota, my parents are from Minnesota. They grew up there.
And like it was all over the website too. Like if this website had a slogan, it would basically be "Fuck Minnesota." Like, really though, it was all about like, you don't do this to your kid or whatever. It's a bunch of bullshit, isn't it? It's like, man, like I swear these people are from Minnesota and they just got a chip on their shoulder about something.
Yeah, they really don't like Minnesota. But I mean, and I didn't really check on this, but I would be interested to know if this is like something that started with people from Minnesota. You know?
Yeah, I'm convinced. Yeah, maybe they're. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean, I know how Minnesotans are. They're pretty, they're pretty hard headed on a lot of things, but they're also, pretty drunk for most things. So I mean, but I mean, what else are you gonna do? Minnesota's way too fucking cold once again.
Yeah, I don't have much of a Minnesota reference. I got like one or two friends from there, and they're both pretty cool. So whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I definitely, Minnesota's a mixed bag for me. In some cases, because I mean, all my aunts and uncles are obviously there, and some of them are really cool, and some are big giant douchebags, and I mean, it just depends, for me. But to be honest, it's just like for me, it's just like anywhere else. There's a lot of cool people, and there's a lot of bad eggs, and just it's just one of those things, just people in general, I think are great, and some of them are just not, you know.
So let's get into this website that's clearly based out of Minnesota.
Clearly.
So the first thing you see on this website is parentalrights.org. Is there's like a minute and 30-second video. Did you watch this, Caleb?
Yeah,
With
I
the
about threw up.
with the scary music in the background.
I was like,
And
oh, good propaganda, cool.
yeah, it was poorly done too, and it says parental rights, an issue that matters to us all.
Oh, you're triggering me right now, bro.
And so what it does during this video, and it pops up all these random facts, and all these random facts that it keeps bringing up. They're also in this little "Did you know" section, and it lists this stuff off. Like as you scroll down this website to this "Did you know" section, and it's like, "Did you know" facts such as a mother in Minnesota was told that she could not access her medical records of any of her children 11 years old or older to discuss child's health with a physician without maintaining her child's permission. What child is it going to be like? Is it going to be like, no, mom, I don't want you seeing my records. I don't want you knowing about my Hep C.
Yeah, it's like really, like you think your 12-year-old is going to be like, well, HIV.
Yeah, I mean, for anything for this, like just like joking here, it could be like, now you're gonna tell the doctor I want to see your record. Like worst case scenario.
Right. Honestly, I could never imagine being like, nah, Dad, I don't want you to see that.
Yeah, exactly. And then here's another one. In most states, you will be denied access to library information about your children, including titles of books which are accumulating late fees.
Yeah, now who cares?
Yeah, one, who cares?
Ask your damn kid. Just ask him, hey, do you have an overdue book?
Yeah, well, here's the other thing. How many kids go to the library and check out books? Odds are they're going to surf the internet because, the mom decided that they didn't want them using the family computer to look up pornography anymore.
Right.
And so he goes to the public library to do it or whatever.
Making the computer slow.
Yeah, or taking their smartphone and not allowing them to look up whatever the hell.
Right.
He does there. I mean, let's be real. Into glorified cyber cafes. And a lot of kids these days, they don't read books. They only read things on social media.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this goes back to your question that you posed about this. Who cares?
Yeah, because I'm sorry, but I gotta be totally honest. Like, the fact of the matter is that if you want to have parental rights, with your children, the place that really starts is in the home. And if you want your kids to like you and to trust you enough to do whatever, or to give you their medical records, apparently, because that's a big deal. It's like, just have a good relationship with your kids.
Yeah.
Demonstrate to your kids that you genuinely care about them, and I can guarantee you that they will never be like, nah, Dad, I don't want you to see that.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. Yeah, responsibilities of parents.
Sure.
That's gonna be that's my favorite part of this whole thing.
Sure.
That I like. And then here's the last one of these. a mother was refused her 13-year-old's grades when she enrolled her in an algebra class. It's like, aren't these
Again.
parents sending home like midterms and report cards and
Yeah.
progress reports to the like from the teachers to the parents? Isn't that a thing, or have teachers gotten lazy and not doing that anymore?
See, and I don't know. My kids are too young, and I don't care to ask people that are like in that age group. Like,
Yeah, and I have
they get
no
a report
kids,
card.
so
Right. But it's like, I got to be totally honest. I mean, again, just ask your damn kid.
yeah. Now, did you see there was like the parental rights quiz after these little facts?
Yeah, I didn't take it because I didn't want to puke at work.
Yeah, I went and I looked at it, and like reveals the answers. There was 10 questions there, and I already knew the answers to 3 of the questions because they were on the homepage.
Sure.
So I got most of these questions wrong. You know, stupid me. But the questions had very specific scenarios, of which 2 of them applied to freaking Minnesota again.
Right.
But
Of course. Of course.
but the best question was saved for last. And instead of, allowing you to see true or false, like to like uncover the answer, it just had it right out there in the open. Just gave it to you. And it says, the question was, we don't really need a parental rights amendment to the United States Constitution.
Ugh.
Now, I would have answered false. I mean, I would have answered true, but apparently
Right.
I was wrong on this. And then, Dwight Schrute pops up. He's like, false.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you were unhappy with any of the answers on these quiz, then it should be evident that a parental rights amendment is necessary to prevent further erosion of your rights. And I'm not going to lie, I was unhappy with the answers on this quiz. Not because parental rights are, quote, disappearing, but because they kind of wasted my time with these random facts that were just thrown in there trying to pass itself off like it was this great quiz, this bastion of knowledge.
Yeah, it's like barely better than a BuzzFeed quiz then.
I know, seriously. I didn't even get to find out what Disney princess I was at the end of this, though.
Yeah.
I walked away with no good result, except telling me if I'm unhappy about this, I should be triggered, which I was, but not for the reasons they wanted.
Yeah, that's just asinine. That's stupid, man.
And here's what kind of upsets me about the whole thing. Like, there's this phrase that Peter used in, I think it was, what was it, Robot Chicken or Star Wars? I don't remember what it was. It insists upon itself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, what does that even mean or whatever? And to be honest, I don't know, but I feel like that applies to this website.
Oh, totally.
It
Because
just insists upon itself. Like, it's using itself to try to gain this credibility that's just terrible, and it's not working. And it keeps trying to pass itself off, like the look and the feel and the design. It tries to pass itself off like a .gov site.
yeah, which is pretty hilarious since we all know how .gov site.
Oh my gosh, seriously. So, we're gonna get into something really fun right now. This is my favorite. We're not gonna get into the proposed parental rights amendment to the Constitution yet,
Well, for a couple of reasons, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into it soon. We're gonna get into some of this stuff because one, it's funny as hell.
Right.
And 2, it's funny as hell. But
are there any other reasons we need?
I know, seriously.
I can't think of any.
As a single person who has no kids that I know of, I don't feel like parental rights really apply to me. Hashtag not my fight.
Right.
And in addition to that, much less actual parents. And,
that's funny.
And I probably triggered like the one or 2 parents that listen to the show.
Are there any?
I don't know. Maybe
if there are, fuck you. Listen, pay attention to your kids, man. What's wrong with you? Go pay attention to your kids.
They're probably listening at work, but anyway.
Well, they should be paying attention to their kids.
Oh boy. I'm sorry if there's a.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
all parents should listen to this podcast for good ideas on parenting.
Oh my gosh. Probably. The family-friendly podcast, not the NCS1 show.
Yeah, that's definitely not that.
I'm pretty sure if their parents are listening to this podcast, they're pretty chill. And they're not the type of people that need to hear this type of thing.
Nah, but they probably will love it.
Oh yeah, they're probably going to get a kick out of it, but they know people hear this.
Right.
So after working in student housing for so long, especially in Utah, I noticed a common trend, and I'm going to coin this term right now. It's not really like on the internet too much, but I want to kind of get it going. There's no Urban Dictionary for this yet, but I'm
What?
gonna. Yeah, I know, but we have a lot of what I like to call low effort parents,
Right.
and low effort parents. Like, I think the term speaks for itself.
As
But
it should. It should. If it
as it
doesn't, then
should. But here's an
serious.
example of a basic criteria of what a low effort parent consists of. Giving your kid an iPad
Oh boy. Yep.
right there. You're expecting the iPad to babysit your kid.
Right. Yeah.
And then, having television or, an iPad slash Netflix babysit your child. Again, you're passing the parental torch to technology, relying on it to raise your kid for you.
When you clearly should be doing it yourself. Or maybe you shouldn't.
Exactly.
Maybe though, in some cases, these people shouldn't be raising kids.
No, definitely not. And then giving your kids an insane amount of sugary foods.
Yeah, that's one that bothers the hell out of me. But we
Yeah,
can talk
because
about that
it's
another time.
yeah. Well, let's talk about like a little bit here.
Okay.
This is
So here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that. And people need to seriously understand what sugar does to, well, just people in general, but more to developing brains. Sugar actually slows the capacity for growth in children. So if you're just giving your kid like fucking sodas and candy all the time, you're a terrible person and you're basically giving them diabetes as like a Christmas gift.
yeah, and that's also sad. But in addition to that, the kids are just like running amok and they're going through these energy spasms, and not
Oh
teaching
yeah,
them good,
totally.
and it's
Totally.
not teaching them good like nutrition skills at all.
Exactly. And now I'm not saying you shouldn't give them any treats ever. I
I
think there's a
am.
time and a place. I think there's a time and a place for treats, you know? But all the time, like I have a friend, well, more of an acquaintance. I know a person. We'll just say that. I know a person who
I know a
basically,
guy.
yeah, who basically gives their kids Pepsi and they're like 4 years old and I'm like, "What
Oh
the fuck?
gosh.
Are you serious right now? Like that's got 46 milligrams of caffeine and a whole bunch of sugar."
Yeah, kids are going to be wired for forever on that. I need to see what happens to
Also,
give them a monster.
yeah, probably gonna kill him. Like, you remember that kid that like drank like he stayed awake for 36 straight hours and drank like 18 monsters to stay awake for 36 straight hours and died of heart failure?
I did not know of this, but it scares me just thinking about it. It makes me
Yeah,
never
so
want to have a monster again, and I love monster.
here's the thing. Just don't over freaking do it, obviously. But like there was a kid,
Yeah.
he was a kid in Japan. He was a professional gamer. And
I'm
dude,
sorry, the stereotype.
it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. The dude, I mean, he was making a lot of money, I'll be honest. He was making a ton of money from like tournaments and stuff like that. But here's the thing. He wanted to improve his skills before a tournament that he thought was going to be particularly difficult. So he was like, I'm going to stay up for 36 straight hours and just practice.
It's a
And so he,
terrible idea.
well, first of all, staying up for 36 straight hours is a terrible idea.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I was just going with that right there. Not even
like
the
that's just
this
bad,
part.
you know? But then he's like, yeah, I'll just drink a monster every 2 hours to
Oh
keep myself
gosh.
awake. And so the caffeine intake, that's 75 milligrams of caffeine per monster minimum. Minimum.
Man, that just scares me thinking about it.
And so basically what happened is his heart beat so fast that it pumped so much blood to his brain that it overloaded his body and he died.
Aw, it's actually really sad.
It is really sad, but it's like, but the thing is, he ran the idea by his parents and they were like, yeah, that's cool.
How old was this kid?
16.
Oh, heartbreaking.
Yep.
I was thinking like early 20s.
No, no,
Oh,
no, no. 16-year-old kid in Okinawa, Japan. He was like, "Hey, mom
oh,
and dad, I'm gonna drink a bunch of energy drinks and stay awake for 36 straight hours to prepare for this tournament." And of course, his parents were like, "Yeah, that's cool," because since he's 16 and he's not like I think you're an adult at 17 in Japan, and so all the money that he made in those tournaments went to them.
oh,
And so it's like, well, yeah, he's your product, you know.
yeah, man, that's
And so
sad.
that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible, you know. But that's the thing. You're giving them things that are detrimental to their overall health. Now, I'm not saying don't drink Monster. I drink Monster. I don't care. Do what you want. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like your
All things in
16-year-old kid,
moderation, people.
exactly. Your 16-year-old kid should not be drinking 18 Monsters in 36 hours
My gosh.
for any reason.
No, definitely not. Let's get back to more fun qualities of the low effort parents.
Oh, good, good.
This
I
is
love these people.
what'd you say?
These are my favorite people.
Letting your kids run amok in public places.
Oh my gosh.
These are, oh my gosh. So I got a story kind of behind this.
Okay.
As I'm sure everyone does with things like this, because everyone knows these types of these low effort parents. But
Yeah, because they're the worst.
they're the worst. So I went to Vegas a couple years back. It was me, Casey William Walker, and Merlin. They both been on the show. A couple times, a lot of times, even together. Sure. Great guys. We had a blast in Vegas, man. It was awesome. Great time. Saw Blue Man Group. Man, Blue Man Group is trippy.
Dude, they're dope. I do enjoy Blue Man Group. Yep.
So dope. I go to Vegas, you gotta see Blue Man Group. So we had this great trip, and like on our last day, and it was a short trip, but on our last day, Vegas, we just kind of like chilled in the just chilled around for a bit and just detoxed. We come back to Utah. We cross the state lines and we're looking for somewhere to eat. And, it's not much of a selection when you get over on the freeway, interstate, whatever. So we pull over to an Olive Garden. And we're sitting down and this family comes in with all these kids and they're just running them. And I'm boy. Man, we're definitely.
I already hate them.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, we're back in Utah. This proves it right here. I want to go back to Vegas where there's no damn kids. And I wasn't just saying that in the general, like, I don't like kids. But my thing was these parents there, like most parents that I've seen in Utah, were very low effort parents, not watching their kids, letting them run amok in public places. And, that type of thing. Just awful.
Those are the worst.
They are. And then another great traits that they do, they're always complaining that someone's fault for something, rather than theirs for their kid.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, like always. And they're always complaining about like the people. Anyone employed by a public school.
Right.
It's never a charter school. And they're always like,
yeah, it's because charter school parents are generally involved in their kids' lives.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and always the school, the public school parents, the parents that deal with the public schools, they're just disgruntled with it and frustrated. And I get public schools aren't the greatest; they're just these, social experiments with government funding. I get it,
Absolutely.
But, yeah, but. At the same time, it's school, but they're always frustrated with the faculty, the teachers. They're not giving my kid enough attention. Well, they got, so many other kids to watch or whatever, but they're always so frustrated. Well, then they homeschool these kids. And I've noticed a common trend with a lot of these parents that homeschool their kids, particularly these low effort parents. I'm not saying every homeschooled parent does this. I'm talking just these low effort parents. And when you're a low effort parent homeschooling your kid, is definitely damaging their social skills and things like that. As Caleb and I discuss on the homeschooling your kids in like season 1, way back in the day.
Oh yeah, forever ago.
One of the first things we talked about because we just thought it was such an issue. But here's a trend I've noticed: these low effort parents that homeschool their kids, they're always posting stuff on Facebook, and it's usually something like, don't vaccinate your kids and stuff like that. And it's like, don't you have like homeschooling to do? Or something like that, and you're just getting mad that someone else is telling you that you have to, give your kid a vaccine so they won't get polio, so their legs will work or whatever.
Yeah, I get so frustrated with the anti-vaxxer movement, but we can talk about that another time. But
yeah, that's a story for another time. But I've noticed for homeschool parents that are pushing that agenda. It's not the Washington lobbyists of the vaccines; it's these people.
100%.
Yeah, and then anyone who watches their kids' church, like That's always a big one for.
I've dealt with those people before.
Yeah, especially being in Utah, they're like, in nursery, I feel like my attention, and it's
Yeah,
like,
and it's like I'm sorry that there are 18 other children here, and this kid actually has a freaking problem. Like, anyway, I could tell stories about that for days, but I'll just share one real quick.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
So there was a time when I was subbing in nursery. I was only 17 at the time. They needed help, and I was like, all right, we're good. I got it. And there was this kid in there who had Down syndrome. Okay. Now, Down syndrome's kids' parents, some of the most awesome people I have ever met in my life. Just truly just awesome, amazing people. They love that kid. They want to do everything that they can for him. And so while I was subbing, I kind of gave that kid a little bit of extra attention. Okay, for obvious reasons. He's got Down syndrome. He's got some problems, right? Now, also the other thing is, I'll be honest, he was my favorite because he was just such a cool kid.
Aw, that's so cute.
He was awesome, dude. He was so funny and he was crazy, and he was always like he was and I'm sure you've seen these kids. Like, he was one of those kids with Downs that just was like dialed up to 11 constant. So every time he loved something, it was like the greatest thing on the planet. Anytime he hated something, it was like the worst thing on the planet. Here's the thing. That level of excitement, it's contagious. Like, he just
it totally is.
It was awesome. It pumped me up, Anyway, and so I gave that kid a little bit of extra attention. Now, I didn't like push any other kids away, but at the end of the day, there was this lady that came up to me, and she was like, wow, I see you really just played with this one kid. Why didn't you want to play with mine? And I was like, well, your kid was on the other side of the room. You want me to go over and fucking pick him up, bring him over to us? I didn't say fucking. I just said, you want me to go over and pick him up and bring him over to us? And she was like, well, I mean, it would have been nice. And I was like, yeah, but he wanted to do something we weren't doing. Like, I'm not going to go force that kid to do stuff.
Yeah, let him do his own thing as long as he's not getting in trouble or anything.
Well, and to be honest, that kid, like, he wasn't, like, there was nothing to suggest that he was even having a bad time.
Yeah.
This lady's kid, he was playing with cars by himself. And he was loving it. He was like, oh man, I'm playing with all these cars. This is dope. I mean, if he could talk, he probably would have said that.
Oh, totally.
But we were playing with a ball, and like, we had this circle, and we were just all passing the ball amongst this little circle, right? And she was like, would have been nice if you could have included him in your game. And I was like, all right, but I mean,
I'm sure he's gonna be needing some major therapy.
Yeah, I was like,
for that incident.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't apologize because I'm a dick, but I definitely was a lot more of a dick at this time. But I basically just looked her straight in the face, and I was like, I mean, if the kid needs attention, he should be getting that primarily in the home.
Yeah, the kid, poor little Tyler, and I'm pretty sure Tielar or something like that.
Yeah, I honestly don't even remember. I just remember just being pissed that this lady was so insane about this. I don't remember the kid's name because I'm going to be totally honest with you. He wasn't important enough for me to remember his name. And also, I subbed in one day. It's not like I was like a regular,
Not hanging around the nursery.
No, I helped out one time because I regret it. I honestly regret it. But
Caleb Hennon regrets helping children. You heard it here.
Yeah. See, that's the sad thing, is that this incident did make me regret helping the other like 8 kids that were having a great time, and it was like, I seriously wanted to just look her straight in the face and just and just like, oh man, I didn't do any of this because I was 17, and especially in Utah, once again, like, it's a little scary to speak out against adults in a lot of cases. Especially, I mean, this was, when was this? This was early 2000s, you know? And it's like, it just was some shit you just didn't do.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So I didn't do it because I was like, I don't want her to tell my parents and, like, blow the story out of proportion. This is a lady, too, that, like, already had it out for me. It's the same lady that tattled on me for drinking Mountain Dew.
Man, she's just got it out for you, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, man.
But anyway, and so, like, I was just like, I just wasn't going to say much. So um, because of who I am and because things like this don't make me uncomfortable, I just put a smirk on my face. I stared her straight in the face and I just looked at her for a solid 30 seconds and just waited for her to get uncomfortable.
You're ridiculous.
And then when she got uncomfortable, she was just like, do you have any response? And I just smiled a little bigger and just sat there waiting for her to leave. And then when she left, like one of the nursery leaders came over to me and she's like, what happened there? What's going on? She's like, sorry, I kind of heard the last of it, but because she was like cleaning up, and I was like, oh no, she was just upset that I didn't include her kid in our activity, and she was like, yeah, but her kid was with me. Like, is there a problem with her kid playing with me?
Apparently.
And I was like, well, I mean, apparently him playing cars and being happy isn't enough for her.
No, it was not. Speaking of, someone watching over their kids at church, the baby, or just sitter. That's another one these parents complain about. The person who's literally taking over their responsibilities for a few hours at a time and getting paid less than minimum wage.
Yep.
Under the table and all that other stuff. And here you are just, bitter at the babysitter.
These fat cats upset with their cheap labor.
Yeah, look at these fat cats over here able to afford cheap babysitter labor that's not good enough for them.
It never will be. It never is. It's never enough for these parents.
Yeah,
when it's anybody else's issue, or when it's somebody else performing the action, it's never enough. When it's them, it's always too much.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, the last one, and it kind of wraps up with all of them or whatever, but I made it more specific. The last real defined trait of a low effort parent is neglecting your kid because you want to be on Pinterest. Or you're too busy assembling your fantasy football bracket, watching TV, or playing video games. Now, I'm not saying any of these things are bad, by any means, except fantasy football bracket. Fuck that. But the rest of it
is D&D for jocks.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, oh, bro, did you see how many fantasy points I got? The stats are through the roof, and it's like, yeah, is it a troll? Like,
is it a troll?
How did you do against the Gorgon?
All
right, just stop playing Dungeons and Dragons already. All right.
My gosh. But yeah, and I'm not saying any of these are bad. And like I said, when you're, when something is becoming your main point of what you do with your time over your kids, kind of scary. And speaking of, you joke about D&D. Remember, man, we're getting a lot of throwback to our old episodes here today.
Yes, we are.
Common trends. The RPG addiction episode.
Oh yeah.
I talked about issue. Yeah, I talked about that kid who I knew who has just crazy RPG addiction, and he would like leave his family to go play RPG games or whatever instead of being with his family.
Yeah, that's weird.
Constantly. And it's update from last I heard on that. Better, they're like renting like a 1-bedroom, like a room in a house. Last I heard with that family, the wife still hasn't left him, and I don't know. It's just sadder the more I hear about him.
And those fat cats with the whole room to themselves.
Yeah, the fat cats with the whole room to themselves. I only got half a room where I'm at.
Yeah, I sleep in a sleeping bag on the floor outside.
Oh man, you're living it up, the frugal lifestyle, sir.
Yeah, up in my satellite.
Up in your satellite. Oh yeah, it's true. But yeah, so these are the low effort parents, and also much like the kids, the low effort parents are super entitled. It's like,
oh yeah,
the world owes them something, and it's someone else's responsibility to get it for them, especially when it comes to raising their kids.
Yeah, that's maddening. Honestly, that pisses me right off.
Yeah,
I mean, entitled people in general, but when you're passing that legacy to your kids, you're a piece of shit.
Oh, totally. And it's just, I don't know, it's just sad. And they're also like very narcissistic.
Oh, big time.
In case that was not a given.
Yeah, seriously.
But so this group, these low effort parents, these are the people I picture wanting these parental rights. The people who
makes sense.
And here's how I think a lot of this comes about. These are the people, and I see this kind of in housing a little bit. These are the people who weren't paying attention to their kids until one day something happens to their kids or to them, or they're curious about something, and then it doesn't align with what they want or how they think it should be, and then they realize they weren't in complete and total control, and
Yep.
all of a sudden the world just does not make sense to them, and now they're trying to lead a charge to prove that they are in control, that mom and dad still run the world, even though they haven't really been running it the past couple years. They're pissed off because they're upset about something. For example, something I always dealt with, something in their child's lease they don't agree with, or whatever.
Stupid.
Things like that. And that's where a lot of these lover parents are. They're people who weren't really raising their kids, and the kids are upset about something. It's not going their way, and so the parents are like, "Don't worry, we're gonna fix this. We have experience in being assholes." And
It's so true.
and that's what they do. They just become giant assholes, and it's not even about giving them what they want by logic or reason. It's just I usually tell them no, but my only real motivation to help them is to not be harassed
Right.
or
No, that
be
makes sense.
little because they're so ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I'm with you 100% on that.
And I'm not gonna lie. Since moving to Iowa, I kind of mentioned this. I work at a college currently. Night and day, the parents I deal with here compared to the ones in Utah. Here, they're like so much more respectful and normal. I've gotten maybe one low effort parent, maybe. And the thing was, I think he was just trying to act tough, but he really cared. So he really wasn't much of a low effort parent.
Sure. Well, and see, sticking up for your kid isn't a bad thing.
No, totally not. Totally not.
Right, and it's the point where it's like my kid, like whenever they give you this one, oh, my Jimmy isn't like that. Yes, he is. All right, all right. He's a child. Okay.
Well, he needs this. It's like, well, he's gonna have to get it somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, like, so there was this time when I got caught doing something bad, and like I was with this other kid. All right, and we're just gonna call him Jimmy for the sake of the story. His name isn't Jimmy, but we're gonna say his name's Jimmy. Okay.
Jymmi, Jimmy.
Jymmi, yeah, because they,
Utah spelling, Jimmy.
Right. You know what? We'll just call him Brexit.
Yes, Brexit. What a Utah name if I ever heard one.
Oh my gosh. Did you ever see that meme where that lady was like,
I totally
oh
did,
man,
totally
so
did,
good.
totally
Anyway, we're not gonna get on that. But like, so I got caught doing something bad. I'm not gonna lay it out because it's none of your damn business what I did. Okay. Not you, Mark, just our listeners. Okay.
Caleb was smoking. Let's just say you were smoking.
Okay, we'll say sure.
I mean, we're creating a fictitious scenario.
Sure.
Brexit, your friend. Jimmy Brexit, your friend.
Jimmy Brexit, my friend, and I, we were smoking.
Marijuana
cigarettes.
And
apparently,
better and better.
Apparently, Hank Hill was the dad involved.
Anyway, you guys should not smoke.
You guys shouldn't be smoking these God dang it, these marijuana cigarettes. You're gonna ruin your ability to use propane and propane accessories.
Oh god.
You can't handle propane.
I love this. The image I have in my head of this is just golden.
Oh, it gets better.
Oh boy.
So we get caught or whatever, and I basically, because of my relationship with my parents, if I lie to them, I'm just gonna tell them what happened. Right?
Yeah.
It was either they hear my story or they're gonna hear some of this other, Hank Hill's gonna come over and tell them the story, and he's gonna vastly exaggerate what was going on.
Of course.
So I just told him, I was like, look, this is what happened. This is why I did it. I know it was stupid. I'm sorry. I'm 15. That was literally like my reasoning behind it. I was like, sorry, Dad, I'm a 15-year-old boy. I'm an idiot. And my dad looked at me straight in the face. My dad looked at me straight in the face. He's like, yep, you are an idiot. You're grounded for 3 months. Enjoy. And I was like, all right, thank you. And that was the end of it.
Well, that's over. Yeah, that's pretty painless.
Well, to be honest, it was like, I mean, my parents were pretty reasonable as long as you didn't lie to me, And but the other thing is that my parents weren't one of those people, like, I hate this line that parents use. If you tell me the truth, then nothing bad will happen. My parents used that line on me a couple of times, and I looked them straight in the face and I was like, yeah, if I tell you the truth, it's definitely going to be bad for me either way. Um, just I was like, I understand that I'm going to be punished because the things that I did, they're not good or whatever. And this is another issue, but I basically was just like, listen, like I sat down with my parents one day and I was like, look, I don't want you to ever tell me that if I tell you the truth, I'm not going to get in trouble because you and I both know you're lying to me. And they were like, fair enough. Okay, well, stop saying that, because they did say that to me a couple times. I had to basically tell them, stop it, because you're just making me crazy. So anyway, this instance happened a little while after that, and I was like, listen, I know this was stupid. I'm really sorry for doing it. I know I'm retarded. I shouldn't have done this. Please, please understand. I'm 15. I'm trying to figure things out, and I don't understand a lot of things that I do sometimes. I just do them because I'm an idiot. And they were like, and that was like my speech to them. And they were like, fair enough. You're grounded for 3 months. You can't hang out with Jimmy for a while.
Jimmy Brexit, you aren't hanging out anymore.
Well, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I get it. And they were like, now if you see him at school, obviously we're not going to regulate that. There's no way for us to do that. But you're not going to, see him after school or anything like that.
Was Jimmy Brexit like, at school, or on lunchtime? It's like, hi, man.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm sorry, my parents said I can't talk to you. No, my parents are a lot more logical than a lot of other parents. Because like, I did have a friend one time tell me, my mom said I can't talk to you, and I was like, the fuck, bro? Is she here right now? Calm down. Like, she can't. Is she over there? Like, is she listening in? Are you wired? Like, is she gonna find out?
Gosh.
Anyway, it's whatever though. It's just my parents were like, yeah, we can't regulate you when you're at school, but just you're not gonna hang out with them after school. And I was like, fair enough. So then the next day, Jimmy's parents call.
Jimmy Brexit's parents.
And they're talking to my mom, and they're just like, listen, I can't believe the influence that your son has on my son.
Oh gosh.
And she was like, oh, why is that? Like, what's the deal here?
So what Mr. and Mrs. Brexit say?
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Brexit were basically just like, our Jimmy doesn't participate in those activities. He would never do that. That's just not like him. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, have you ever talked to him like a person or just like a kid?
Well, yeah.
Because that's the thing. When you're a parent, your job is to basically help your kids become functioning adults. Now,
yeah.
when they're kids, I get it. You work with them at their level. But my feeling is, my parents had a serious talk with me when I turned 14. And they were like, listen, like, we are going to still be your parents. You're going to have to do what we say because you're a minor, and we, technically, as long as we're providing you with food and water and shelter and clothes, we can do whatever the fuck we want. I'm dead serious. That was like 100% what they said, minus the F word. I'm serious. Like, this is
no. I totally believe
parents,
it. Totally believe it.
They just know that. And they were like, but we want you to be able to think for yourself, to reason for yourself, and to figure things out. So we are going to treat you like an adult as long as you act like an adult. Now, the second you stop acting like an adult, we'll treat you as such. But if you can prove to us that you can be reasonable, rational, and figure things out, we'll be reasonable with you. And we'll, talk to you like a person, not like someone who needs to be controlled. And I was like, great. And there were times when I did stupid things, and they were like, okay, we're going to treat you like a kid for a little bit because you're being a kid. All right. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, and that's good parenting. It's not that low effort parenting that, Jimmy Brexit's parents.
Dude, fuck Jimmy Brexit's parents. Seriously.
Fuck Mr. and Mrs. Brexit.
They essentially said that I was the one initiating everything, when, to be perfectly frank, like, I've run that situation in my head over and over again. We both wanted to do it. We both talked about doing it for a long time. And then when we finally executed it, we got caught, and it was a problem. And it's like, okay, I get it. Whatever.
And as such, those types of things happen.
Right. Especially when, let's be serious. When you're 15, you don't know how to, like,
you
don't even know how to, like, handle contingencies or think about contingencies or worry about things that could happen. You're just totally. Okay, if we do it the right way, nothing bad will happen because I saw it on Ocean's 11,
Yeah, or this
And
YouTube
it's-
video or so, something.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, we didn't think that we would ever get caught, and we totally got caught. Within like
Yeah.
10 minutes, we got caught.
Of course. Well, and the thing is, like, back to Jimmy Brex's parents and like the low effort parents. These are the type of people, don't really do their parenting, low effort, and they accuse everyone else. It's never like their precious Jimmy Brexit or whatever. And these are the type of people I see wanting to have this, proposed parental rights amendment to the Constitution.
Oh, totally.
So let's get into that.
Ridiculous, by the way.
Let's get into that.
I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah, so this is on the website. This proposed parental rights amendment to the United States Constitution.
Right.
They're getting Uncle Sam involved. The man himself is going to protect your kids from the nasty people known as everyone else.
Well, and here's the funny thing. You're using the federal government to combat the federal government. Do you realize how dumb that is?
Yeah,
that's the wrong channel.
Oh, totally. It's way ridiculous. And but here's the thing, and this is why it goes better with low effort parenting. Much easier to have someone else do something than you.
Yep.
So on the website, it says right here, parental rights, our mission to protect children by empowering parents through the adoption of parental rights amendment to the U.S. Constitution and through state laws supporting fundamental parental rights.
See, and here's the problem. They're trying to pull this whole states' rights, but we're going to use the federal government to supersede all of them.
They're going all the way to the top, man. They're waiting for Trump to write this as an executive order.
That's okay. Yeah.
Easy D is going to be like, your parental rights are coming.
Yeah, because Donald Trump is the perfect example of somebody who really just knows how to understand parental rights.
Or cares.
Well, here's my thing. Donald Trump cares about one thing. Okay, it's Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, totally.
And to be perfectly honest, as a self-interested person, I don't really care that he only cares about himself. That's fine. I get it. However, if you're going to try to get this guy to use his power to care about everyone else, you're just causing problems. That's all it's going to do. It's just going to cause problems. And I said the same thing. Like when people are like the people that were like cheering, oh yeah, Barack Obama's doing all of these like executive orders and it's great. I was like, yeah, but wait till it's a Republican in office. You're going to be pissed.
Yeah, exactly. So now part of me wants Donald or Easy D to make these an executive order that way they can get repealed.
Well, the funny thing about it actually he can't, because one of his first executive orders was to make it so that executive orders couldn't decide constitutional law.
Oh,
so he already limited himself in his ability to do that on purpose. Like he was like, yeah, I don't think that you should be able to do that. And it was all right. Well, I got it there. Easy D's got us there,
Easy D's got us there. So let's get into these. Get through here.
Oh, this will be fun.
6 of them. Section 1, the liberty of parents to direct the upbringing of education and care of their children is a fundamental right. Now, this reminds me of the homeschooling thing.
Here's my take on this too.
Oh, wait. No, that's in Section 2. And hold on. Let's get into Section 2 before we get to this.
Okay.
Because they're kind of one and the same, or whatever. Section 2. The parental right to direct education involves the right to choose as an alternative to public education, private, religious, or homeschool, and the right to make reasonable choices within public schools for one's child. Okay, now let's get into the education. Go ahead, Caleb.
Okay, here's the thing on that. So there's 2 things that are wrong with this statement. First of all, there is literally, and of the states that I went through, which was quite a bit, okay, and I went through some of the states that had very low parental rights, whatevers.
Like Minnesota.
Directives, yes, like Minnesota, apparently. They're the worst.
Yeah.
But even they allow for alternative education, private, religious, charter. I don't know how Minnesota feels about homeschool, but regardless, you can take the reins basically on your child's education, no matter what. First of all, even if your kid's in public school, ultimately the parent is the one who's responsible for educating their child. Period.
Yeah.
Anybody that believes differently is one of these low effort parents that just is like, well, I can't believe the public schools are teaching this. Yeah, but why don't you teach differently then?
Exactly. And that's kind of
You
what a
know?
lot of this comes down to.
Right. And so that's
It,
number one. Number two for me, they're trying to influence like the states' rights. But here's my thing. There are plenty of other states outside of Minnesota who will let you do whatever the heck you want.
I don't know about that. Tell
No,
me
I'm just
about these so-called states outside of Minnesota.
I mean, there are a few of them that exist, you know. But for instance, if you really, really, really want to get into, just come to Utah. Utah
Yes,
allows like parental rights through the roof in Utah, like
seriously.
to the point where Utah actually will allow you to put your own child in prison for nothing,
Wow.
just because they want you to learn a lesson. Okay,
That's messed up.
like that's a legit thing that is allowed in Utah. Like you know that little Scared Straight show?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Those are all
right. Utah
not the
took
scared straight, but Utah has a lot of these camps or whatever, and they use them
right.
for like to quote detox children from the internet's a big one, like internet addiction,
Yeah.
which
I'm not even talking about those, dude. I'm talking about straight up like you can take them to juvie and just check them in for being, and I quote, insubordinate as a child.
man, that's
So
kind of
so
messed up. That's scary. Now I want
it is.
restrictions on parental rights.
It is. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I literally I've looked up the numbers on last year there was one kid out of the entire year that was put into juvie for that reason. So it's like
Damn.
it's literally happening one out of like I think the number of kids there's like 700 and something thousand kids in Utah, like in like the Utah and Salt Lake Valley areas, and those are the two counties.
And they all belong to 100,000.
Right. But I'm just saying, like among those 700,000 kids among across those two counties, because they're the only two counties in Utah that allow it to. It's not even across the whole state, but across those two counties, only one kid had that happen. Now, again, the likelihood of that happening is very small. And granted, the kid that they did this to did have some serious friggin' sociopathic tendencies. The
Okay.
kid, so to paint a little picture, that kid performed an autopsy on a live cat.
Aw,
So
you
so
scary.
so that kid definitely had some problems. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I get it, but putting him in juvie still isn't the right like reaction. Put that kid in mental health, dude. Like give him some mental health, just
Oh,
friggin'
totally, totally,
do,
totally.
do something like that. But I'm just saying, like, if you really want to have all these rights, just move to Utah. That's
Yeah.
all you got to do.
Let's get
Utah or
on.
friggin' or Wyoming, Arizona, Texas, just move to one of those places.
Yeah,
You
and
get them.
well, this is where the low effort comes in. It's a lot of effort to
Yeah,
pack
fair
up and
enough.
move.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Section 3. Neither the United States nor any state shall infringe these rights without demonstrating that its government interest as applied to the person is of the highest order and not otherwise served.
First of all, how? How would you prove that?
I don't know. A lot of it's like, okay, section 2 where it was like make reasonable choices, like define reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the problem with things like this, like they're very subjective, and that's kind of what scares me a little
That's
bit. I mean,
that's the problem. They're not specific at all.
no, they're not. And it's scary. Let's section 4. The parental rights guaranteed by this article shall not be denied or abridged on account of a disability. I know it sounds a
Yeah.
little crazy, but like section 1 combined, I think section 3 and 4 could as well. Just throwing that
Yeah.
out there.
I agree.
But
Also,
yeah,
yeah.
disability, I don't know about that.
Yeah, because if a parent is disabled, like again, define disability.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
disability are we
Define
talking?
disability or the
You
specific.
know, like is this parent an alcoholic? Because if that's the case, it's like, well, maybe they shouldn't have the rights over their kid.
Is being alcoholic a disability?
Well, technically, they consider alcoholism now a mental.
Okay.
Like if you're like I'm saying like those people that like can't not drink, that kind of alcoholism.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
not like Homer Simpson where it's like he just likes to drink, but I'm talking like
An
Robert
insane
Downey
amount of
or
insane amount of addiction, right?
Right, like, I'm talking about, like Robert Downey Jr. before rehab, that kind.
I miss
Like,
classic Robert.
not the drugs, because, like, the drugs were definitely but honestly, before the drugs, that dude used to get drunk, like and it wasn't even he was like, it just kinda happened. I don't even know what happened on
You
any
didn't
of
even
those
know.
nights. And I was like, "Well, of course you don't know, Robert, because you were drunk."
Yeah, also just throwing this out there. Talking about a career
Oh, dude.
from Ally McBeal to Iron Man. Just throwing that out there.
Dude, that guy honestly, that guy is oh, man.
Crushing it, man.
He's amazing. He is,
Yeah, yeah. All
he's
right.
he's a great actor. He does a lot of awesome work, and the dude is just hilarious.
Oh,
Like
totally,
like
totally.
just in and of himself, he's just hilarious. Like his Facebook profile that he literally runs himself, the name that he put on there is "You Know Who I Am." It's not he didn't put his name, he put "You Know Who I Am."
Nice.
You
So,
know? It's just funny.
yeah. Section 5. This article shall not be constructed to apply to a parental action or decision that would end life.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, like
Your
isn't
rights
that
end where
common?
they infringe on someone else.
Isn't
Period.
that common sense though? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
don't
not
let
going to send
parents
my
kill their
kid to the
kids.
elect. Yeah, I'm not going to send my kid to be put down. It's not like your kid's not a pet. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
quit naming your kids like you would name pets as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, and also quit naming your pets like you would name kids.
Yeah,
Like,
and also quit
I met a
spelling
guy whose dog's name is Rob, and I was like, "What?" Yeah, like Robert. It's short for Robert, and I was like, "Shouldn't his name be like Sparky or Scruffy or
Scruff McGruff,
or
Chicago, Illinois.
or like Spot?" And he was
Nice.
like, "No, his name's Robert. He's my son." And I was like, "Okay, that's gross."
Oh boy. Section 6. No treaty may be adopted, nor shall any source of international law be employed to supersede, modify, interpret, or apply to the rights guaranteed by this article.
Okay, this section by itself is going to be the reason this does not pass.
Or just this.
Just section 6. Here's why. You really think that somebody in the federal government is going to be like, yeah, go ahead and limit all my power?
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. The whole thing is just really ridiculous.
Well, it's stupid for a couple of different reasons. Number one, invoking the Constitution to infringe on somebody else's rights. Yeah, that's right. Your kids' rights are still rights. You know,
Right.
basically, you're taking away your kids' right to association. You know, you're taking away his ability to say, "Yeah, I don't really like being around." You know,
Yeah.
and it's like, I get it. If they're a minor, I understand they should be with their parents. But what if that parent is an emotionally abusive asshole?
I know, seriously, like this parental rights thing, it kind of puts too much power in the wrong hands with parents. I know it sounds bad.
Right. Well, okay. It
Well,
does though. It does though. It does though.
parental rights. These
Right.
parental rights, not in general, I guess.
Because
I probably
again,
phrased that poorly.
no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Because I think the essence of it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the essence of it is if you've got a low energy parent or a low effort parent,
Low energy parent.
probably both. They're probably drinking about 8 gallons of Diet Coke every day. So
Oh gosh.
anyway,
All right,
you've
Jimmy
got-
Brexit, go play with the
yeah,
iPad.
yeah, seriously. But if you've got these low effort parents that aren't really involved in their kids' lives, and I don't mean like micromanaging their kids' lives, I mean like talking to their kid. That's what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, because here's the deal. Ultimately, your kid is more likely to be like you if they can look up to you, right? And here's the thing. My dad told me this like forever ago, and I think it applies very, very well. And it's this: parents are meant to lead a family, not manage a family. And the difference, and I'll get to the difference in a second. But like when he said that to me, I didn't really understand what he was. Then he explained himself. He said he basically told me, I want you to think about that, reason with it, tell me, what you think the difference is between leadership and management, and then we'll talk about it. And so I thought about it for a week. We came back, we had another little sit down, and we talked about it. And honestly, I was way off. I'm embarrassed to even say what I thought it was because I had no idea the differences, to be honest. So he told me, and this is perfect. To me, this is perfect. Sure, there are probably some people that will analyze the shit out of it and be like, "No, that's stupid, dude. Your dad's an idiot," and that's fine. I get it. But what he said to me was, a leader is someone who people want to volunteer to follow. A manager is someone who you have to follow because you literally have no other choice.
Hmm.
And he put it this way: it's the difference between someone who runs a not-for-profit, pays no one that works with him, and still gets a large group of people to work with him versus a boss at a job who you listen to because if you don't get paid.
Yeah.
That's the
So
difference.
yeah, and I want to bring up one last thing, and then I think this is probably a good stopping point. This is kind of from an Adam Carolla bit, but it still applies here. It's not one of his real parenting bits. It's kind of one of his rants. So remember the more you know stuff, those announcements like "Do, do, do, do," and then like the rainbow goes by with the star up in space and stuff like that. They had David Schwimmer, who at the time had no kids, and
Yeah.
played a dad that had a kid that he ignored on Friends. He
Oh,
did
boy.
his, yeah, I know. He did his announcement was like, talk to your, spend time with them type of thing. And it was like it was a very low effort, like kind of, happy feel good announcement type of thing.
Right.
But as sad as it is, it's true. Just like spend time with your kids, talk to them, get to know them, put forth some effort. Don't be lazy. I get that parenting is hard. That's why I don't have kids. That and I'm lazy.
Right.
But also, these are your kids. You made them. It's a lot of
Yeah.
responsibility. Spend time with them, raise them. Don't just give them iPads and let them turn out to be little narcissists.
No, I totally get it.
So anyway, if you're doing that, we wouldn't have need of worrying about things like parental rights or
Exactly.
whatever.
Because your kids would want to follow you.
Exactly. So I think that's a great spot to wrap up our show. I want to thank Caleb once again for coming on via satellite.
Absolutely.
And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the MCS1 show. For bi-weekly episodes on society and counterculture, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. For regular updates, show notes, and links, head to the MCS1show.com or search AOL keyword MCS1.